She only came to deposit a check, something millions of people do every day. But within minutes, a simple errand turned into a nightmare. The bank manager's cold stare, the whispers, the sudden call to the FBI, none of it made sense. Why? Her? Why now? As agents rushed through the doors, everyone expected a criminal. But what they uncovered would leave the entire bank in stunned silence and prove that appearances can deceive more than we realize. Her name was Maya, a hard-working professional who had built her life on persistence and discipline. Each morning, she woke early, preparing for long hours at her job, determined to create a future better than the one she grew up in. That day was no different. Dressed neatly in her work clothes, she stopped by the local bank during her lunch break. To her, it was just another errand, depositing her paycheck before heading back to the office. Maya wasn't a stranger to this bank. She had walked through those glass doors countless times before, always greeted by the same sterile atmosphere, the scent of paper, the quiet hum of printers, the line of customers shifting impatiently. She carried herself with calm confidence, just another face among many. But this time felt different. As she handed her check across the counter, she noticed the teller's uneasy glance, the way the employee excused themselves and disappeared into the manager's office. A subtle knot formed in Maya's stomach, though she tried to ignore it. She had done everything right. Her account was in good standing, her ID in order, her paycheck legitimate. Still, something in the air told her that today, ordinary wasn't on the agenda. What Maya didn't know was that behind those office doors, a single phone call was being made, one that would turn a simple deposit into a public spectacle and place her at the center of a storm she never asked for. Maya waited at the counter, her receipt slip still unprinted, her check lying untouched. The minutes dragged. Customers behind her shifted impatiently, but she noticed the hushed movements, employees exchanging glances, whispering, disappearing into back offices. Her palms began to sweat. She had been here many times, and never once had it taken this long. Then, the sound of hurried footsteps. The bank manager emerged, his expression hard and cold, eyes fixed on her as though she had already been judged. Without a word to Maya, he picked up the phone and dialed. His voice was low but stern. "Yes, we need someone here immediately. Possible fraud. She's still on site." Her chest tightened. Possible fraud? On what grounds? She looked around, feeling the sudden shift in atmosphere. Customers glanced at her, some with curiosity, others with suspicion. Maya stood frozen, clutching her purse, as if holding on to the last piece of stability she had left. Within minutes, the wail of sirens cut through the air outside. Red and blue lights painted the glass walls of the bank. People turned toward the doors, murmurs spreading like wildfire. Agents in dark jackets stormed in, their presence heavy, their steps purposeful. "Ma'am, step aside." The words were sharp, commanding, and impossible to ignore. Maya obeyed, her heart racing. She tried to ask what this was about, but her voice was drowned by the agent's orders and the sudden silence that fell over the room. The bank lobby became a stage. Every pair of eyes was fixed on her, the woman who had come only to deposit her paycheck, now treated like a criminal. Cameras from cell phones began to rise. Whispers grew louder. Someone muttered, "What did she do?" Another said, "I knew something was off." Maya's mind raced. She had worked tirelessly, followed every rule, lived with integrity. And yet, here she was, surrounded, accused, humiliated without reason. She wanted to shout, to demand an explanation, but all she could feel was the crushing weight of injustice pressing down. as one of the agents reached for the check, examining it like a piece of evidence. Maya's stomach dropped. Every second felt like an hour. Her entire life, her reputation, her dignity, balanced on the edge of a decision she had no control over. And then came the words she would never forget. "We need to verify this immediately. Don't let her leave." The lobby gasped. Maya's fate, it seemed, would be decided not by truth, but by prejudice. The bank had gone silent, the kind of silence that carries judgment heavier than words. Maya stood frozen as the agents surrounded her, their hands resting dangerously close to their holsters. Every movement she made was under a microscope. One wrong gesture, one misunderstood glance, and the consequences could be irreversible. "Ma'am, place your hands where we can see them." The command cut through the air like a blade. Maya lifted her trembling hands slowly, the humiliation burning her from within. She had done nothing wrong, yet she was being paraded as if she were a criminal. Phones captured every second, lenses feeding on her fear. The manager, standing in the corner, looked satisfied, convinced he had caught someone attempting fraud. His pride swelled as whispers spread. "She's going to jail. I knew it!" But Maya's eyes burned with silent defiance. She had worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to be erased by a lie. Then, one of the agents examined the check more closely. His expression shifted. He checked the name again, then compared it against an official database. The silence deepened. Seconds felt like an eternity as he turned toward the others, his jaw tightening. "This check, it's legitimate." His voice was firm, echoing across the lobby. Gasps erupted. The same crowd that had judged her seconds earlier now stood stunned. Maya's heart pounded, relief mixing with rage. But the revelation didn't end there. The agent cleared his throat, looking at Maya differently now. "Do you know who this belongs to? Do you realize who she is?" His words carried weight, shifting the entire room's energy. The manager blinked, confused. Customers leaned in, desperate to hear the truth. And in that moment, the humiliation transformed into something else entirely. The truth about Maya's identity was about to shatter every assumption made against her and leave the entire bank in disbelief. The agent stepped forward, holding the check with care now, his tone shifting from suspicion to respect. "This isn't fraud. This check belongs to her, Dr. Maya Thompson, a decorated military officer, a community leader, and a woman who has served this country with honor." The room froze. The same whispers that once condemned her now rippled in disbelief. The manager's face drained of color, his confidence collapsing into shame. He had called the FBI on a woman whose name was etched in records of service and sacrifice, a woman who had given more to her country than most, in that lobby, could ever imagine. And then the unthinkable happened. One by one, the agents who had arrived with suspicion in their eyes straightened their posture. They looked at Maya, not as a suspect, but as someone worthy of recognition. In front of the entire bank, customers, employees, strangers, agents raised their hands in salute. The silence broke into gasps. For Maya, the moment was bittersweet. Validation came, but only after humiliation, only after being dragged through suspicion because of the color of her skin. The salute wasn't just for her service. It was an unspoken acknowledgement of the injustice she had endured. She walked out of the bank that day with her head held high, but the memory would linger. It was a reminder that no matter how much she achieved, the shadow of prejudice could still find her in the most ordinary places. And that's the truth behind this story. How many more Mayas will face this same humiliation before the world decides enough is enough? If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because these stories are not just about the past. They're about what's still happening today. And if you believe voices like Maya's deserve to be heard, make sure you like this video, subscribe for more true stories, and join the conversation in the comments. Together, we can shine a light on injustice and remind the world that change begins when we refuse to stay silent.